Hello and welcome to the Smells Like Infinite Sadness podcast. I'm your host, Michael Taylor. For those of you who don't know, I run the website, smellslikeinfinitesadness.com. It's a blog covering the best alternative rock from the 80s and 90s up to present day. I'm a proud middle-aged Gen Xer who is still obsessed with the music of his youth and loves to talk about it. And today I'll be speaking with Mark Reznicek, longtime drummer for the Toadies, the Fort Worth-based alt-rockers who formed in 1989 and minus a 6-year gap in the early 2000s have remained a Texas musical institution ever since. The band are currently on a North American tour to celebrate the 25th anniversary, 25 years of Rubberneck, their 1994 release that broke them to the masses thanks to hits like I Come From the Water, Tyler, and Possum Kingdom. In addition, the group have also just released a new EP entitled Damn You All to Hell, which features 4 previously unreleased tracks, including a cover of David Bowie's Sound and Vision. In today's interview, I asked Reznicek about the highlights of celebrating Rubberneck on the road, his memories of making the album and the DFW music scene of the 90s, the band's new EP, and much more. So check out the interview, and afterwards I'll be playing a track off the new EP. My first question is, when did you guys decide you wanted to do a 25th anniversary tour? What kind of led up to it, and what was that process like, deciding on that?
Let's see. Well, we had done one for our 20th anniversary. And then when the 25th came up, somebody suggested it. And they're like, sounds like a good idea. People had been asking, you guys going to do this on the 25th? At first, we were a little lukewarm about it because we had just done the 20th. Yeah. But then we were kind of we're still working toward recording an album. And we didn't have it ready. So we're like, well, let's do this Rubberneck tour and then continue work on the album. And then the pandemic hit. And so the scheduled tour got pushed back a year. And then that was all ready to go. And then the next wave of the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So it got pushed back a third year. So we're actually closer to the 30th anniversary than the 25th now, but it's finally happening.
What have been some of the highlights so far of the tour? What have been some of the moments that have stood out to you?
Last night in Los Angeles was really fun. I don't know. I've always heard people say that LA audiences aren't very demonstrative, that they kind of seem jaded and act like they've seen it all and done it all. And that was definitely not the case last night. Like, they were really enthusiastic, and it was a fun show. In Denver, that was a sellout. That was a few days ago. But really, all the shows have been just great. Like, I think people are, tired of being cooped up, ready to get out and see live shows, and ready to see this tour that we've had to reschedule twice, so it's been great so far.
Yeah, it's like for so long there was nobody could play, and now everybody's playing at the same time. So there's so many shows going on. It's kind of crazy.
It is. There's a lot of competition, but we seem to be doing all right. So,
well, great. Well, when you're playing these, your Rubberneck tracks, do you ever try to throw something in to kind of change arrangements up just to make it more interesting for you guys, or do you feel like you need to really stick close to the original recording so that it's the way fans are used to hearing it, or do you kind of do a mix of both, or how do you work on that when you're working on the set?
I think like for these type of things where you're playing the whole album, our idea is to stick as close to the album arrangement as possible, because I think that's what people are really coming to see. I think at other times when it's not really specifically, we're not playing the whole album, just like a quote unquote regular show. we do sometimes mess with the arrangements, just to change it up and everything. But it was interesting when we were rehearsing for the tour. Like, we went back and listened to the album, each of us on their own with a fine-tooth comb. And it was interesting to see how the songs had kind of naturally sort of evolved and mutated over the years. And it was weird to go back and listen to the original recordings and like, oh, I've been playing it like this all this time, but actually the recording goes like that. So it's kind of fun to fine tune it back to the way it started.
Well, you guys also just put out a new EP, which I like quite a bit. And was that recorded during the pandemic, or when did you all start working on that? And what was the creative process behind that like?
It was all recorded prior to the pandemic. 3 of the songs were recorded during the sessions for our last album, Lower Side of Uptown. They were just for length, and they didn't quite fit the vibe of the rest of the album. So we thought we'd save them for a future project, like whether it was save them for the next album or whatever. And then, I think the time came, we thought, hey, we've been sitting on these long enough. Let's just put out an EP since we don't have a full-length album ready. Let's put out a new EP, about the time that we're starting the tour, to let people know that we're still a viable act, that we're still making music and stuff. We recorded so many songs for the last album, we always knew probably not everything was going to make it. But as long as you're in the studio and you're cooking with gas, might as well keep the recorder going, And then the David Bowie cover on the EP, during downtime in between recording songs, like we'll just be messing around and, start playing a famous riff or whatever, different classic rock songs or whatever. And that was one we started messing around with, and somebody said, hey, let's play the whole song and roll tape. So, that's like a first or second take. And that turned out pretty good. Let's keep it.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that because I really liked it, the kind of the Southern twang element to it. And it was an interesting take. What made you decide on that Bowie track? Were you like looking specifically to do a Bowie song, or was it that one that was always kind of in the back of y'all's mind to try that one out?
That's been my favorite Bowie song for, since I was a kid. For some reason, it always stood out to me. And so the intro is on drums. So just like messing around, I would always play the drum intro, and then whoever was on the same wavelength would start messing around. We'd, play the first 20 or 30 seconds of the song as much as we knew. And then, I don't remember, I think it might have been Donnie said, let's just learn the whole song, play it. All right, cool. It was kind of cool to do it, just with our regular 4-piece instrumentation, because the original has synthesizers on it, that kind of stuff. So it's cool adapting some of those parts to guitar and stuff like that. Came out pretty cool, I thought.
So I know obviously this tour is based around Rubberneck, but are you doing any other songs? Have you put any songs from the EP in the set list, or is this strictly Rubberneck songs and that's it?
No, we since Rubberneck's only 36 minutes long or something, we have to fill out the rest of the set. But we start off usually with a few songs from our catalog to kind of get warmed up, and then Then we blast through Rubberneck front to start. And then for an encore, we play some others. We've even been, we got a brand new song we haven't actually recorded yet that we've been playing. And at Soundcheck, we're working up some of the other new songs that we're hoping to record later in the year or next year. So, you know, we know everybody's coming here to see Rubberneck, but figure as long as we have them, you know, here's one new song. Nobody wants to go to a concert and hear a bunch of new stuff they've never heard before.
Yeah.
So we throw one in, and that's, you know, kind of a teaser for stuff that's coming up. And people seem pretty receptive to it, so that's cool.
Well, when you are revisiting Rubberneck, are there any songs in particular that you prefer playing the most? Is there one like this tour that you are really in sync with more than the others, or is it all just kind of equal as far as when you think back on it?
Like on a normal set that's not specifically a Rubberneck set, we generally play, you know, 3/4 of the album anyway, so it's not really new, but not necessarily in the order that they appear on the album. So it's I've always liked playing the song "I Come from the Water." Just I like the groove, and I like how enthusiastic people get when they hear it. But really, you know, it seems like every song on that album is somebody's favorite, you know. But especially, you know, the big hit was Possum Kingdom, so it's always fun to see the response once we start playing that. It's just really cool that, you know, pretty much everybody in the audience knows the album front to back. So just the anticipation of, ooh, I know the next song is my favorite or whatever, like all of that stuff just makes it, it's real, like just fun, like seeing the smiles on people's faces and the enjoyment people are getting from hearing these songs they've heard their whole life. Is just, it's a cool feeling, honestly. Like we haven't toured in 5 years, so it's just, it feels really gratifying. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I love about Rubberneck so much is it's one of those albums that I feel like it never really dates, like because your sound is so particular that I feel like it's held up so well throughout the years that I think it's got kind of a timeless quality to it. And I think that's probably one reason why it's still so popular.
Yeah, we never, you know, obviously never planned it that way, but it's cool. And it's really cool seeing, you know, the different generations of people in the audience. You know, there's people bringing their kids and stuff. And there was even, there was a show where there were 3 generations, like a dad and his daughter and her son.
Oh, wow.
So pretty cool that, you know, that this one album that we did when we were kids still appeals to people of all ages. Like it's kind of mind blowing. It's not nothing we ever planned on, you know.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because I mean I'm close to y'all's age. I think. I mean, I grew up, you know, in Fort Worth, and I remember when you all were starting to get big and all that. But I do notice now when I go to shows, like I saw Ministry a few months ago, and seeing like all these young kids there, and then you know it's cool how that era of music is still being felt, and especially today with, you know, so much stuff that's kind of disposable. It's nice that people are still responding to, you know, some good sturdy stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting how much staying power, you know, all that music from that era still has. Like, who would have thought? I mean, at the time we didn't realize what a like golden era of rock music it was, you know, like
yeah,
on the radio, on MTV, just everywhere, you know. And now I think nowadays, like with the internet, that's pretty much how people discover music, and so it's more like fragmented. Like if you like a certain genre, you can laser focus and just hear that, type of music. And back in the day, it was just whatever was on the radio. So I feel like in some ways you were kind of exposed to a bigger variety when somebody else was choosing what you listened to, rather than getting on your computer and like specifically, I like this song, and so the algorithm will pick a bunch of other songs that they think are similar. It's sort of, I mean, that's really helpful to me. Like I discover a lot of music that way, but it was also cool with the kind of human touch of go in a record store and whatever they might be spinning, and you go up and ask the clerk, who is that? Or if you just have your radio on and, a human being, a DJ, spinning actual records, like, I don't know. Things were lost and things have been gained with the passage of time.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I try to explain to my daughter what consuming music used to be like. She looks at me like I'm from Mars, or like younger coworkers that I work with who are like, think that, the stuff I like is like classic rock. It's weird how everyone has a different perspective on it as things, kind of.
Yeah. It's weird when I hear terms like dad rock,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I hate that term.
Nirvana and Pixies or whatever. It's like, what? It still seems heavy and radical to me, like dad rock.
I know. Yeah, that's that term rankles me, but I, I don't care
doesn't seem right, but I guess,
Well, how many more dates do you all have in the tour?
We're really only about a week and a half in, so and it's scheduled to go for 7 weeks, so we got a long ways to go. October 31st is the last show of the tour.
That should be cool.
We got a handful of shows in Texas in November after that those are not part of the Rubberneck tour, just previously scheduled shows. But so we'll be pretty much busy the rest of the year.
And I know that you always seem to have like, you have like your craft beers, or you have things that kind of tie into everything. Do you guys have any special items that are coming out this year in response to Rubberneck, or anything that you're?
Let's see. We have a coffee now. We partnered with the coffee maker, and that's called Dark Secret. A dark roast coffee. We don't have a new beer out this time. We're in talks. I don't know if I should be talking about this yet or not, but I'm gonna. We're in talks to partner with this company that makes THC CBD gummies.
Oh, cool.
Because apparently in Texas now, THC plus CBD gummies are legal.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing, but it is true.
Yeah, I think as long as the volume of CBD is higher than the amount of THC, then it's legal or something. And this was news to me until these people approached us about. Like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, because they had tried to outlaw it for a while. I mean, I know that they had, but then they took it to a higher court, and they're like, nope, you can do it. So
yeah,
hopefully that's like the Trojan horse that kind of gets.
I've been convinced that Texas would be the 49th or 50th state to legalize, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
We do have some iBurn rolling papers that are new for this tour as a merch. Ran out all kinds of knickknacks and patty wax.
How do y'all come up with those ideas? Like, is it something that you're approached with, or something that you approach a vendor with? How do you decide on what you're going to use promotional items wise?
Usually like one of us in the band or our manager might have an idea. Hey, what about this? And we'll all like discuss it and say, yeah, that'd be cool, or I don't know about that, I think the idea is, I mean, of course, we're going to have T-shirts and vinyl and all that stuff, but it's always cool to have other items, I think at the merch booth, just for variety's sake. And, sometimes people can't afford or don't want to spend the money on a T-shirt or a record. So, here's some papers that are a few dollars, or a koozie or whatever, The more variety, the more chance people have of taking a piece of the Toadies home.
Well, I think it's really cool, in this kind of era where physical media, isn't as prevalent as it used to be, that you guys get to get some tangible stuff that people can't take home with them to kind of help them remember the concert experience. And
yeah, I mean, I like doing that. Like if I go to a show and, we try and keep the price of our T-shirts and stuff, as low as we can and still make it worthwhile. But some of the bigger, big touring acts and stuff, if I go to like an arena show, I'm like, oh my God, they want how much for a T-shirt? And, even if I love the bands, God, I just can't see spending that much on a T-shirt. So, but I do want something, like I saw the Rolling Stones 5 or 6 years ago, and I want something, just to remember, hey, I was there, I experienced that, so whether it's just a koozie or a whatever, like it's fun to have cool stuff, cool little shit to have around the house.
Well, it's cool you do that. Yeah, because last night I went and saw Roxy Music, and tiers were like $50 a shirt practically, or $40 a shirt. I'm like, I don't want it that bad, So it's cool that you keep that in mind, because a lot of, like you say, it's a lot of price gouging going on with stuff like that.
Yeah. How was the Roxy show?
It was very good. It was really, really cool. Like I don't think they've ever played. I think they played Texas like 46 years ago or something crazy like that. So it was amazing. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was really because they're not doing that many dates. But one of them was going to be Dallas, but it happened to coincide with us being on this tour. So I'm like, I've always wanted to see Roxy, and I never have, and I'm still not going to be able to see him because the dates and the stars do not align.
Yeah, I lucked out with it, but yeah, it was really cool.
Cool.
Interesting mix of generations. Talking about generations, like you were saying, it's all over the map for that show. It was.
Yeah, I bet. And I saw some of the playlists, the set list that they've been using, and they're pretty much covering their whole catalog.
Yeah, it was pretty even handed, I thought, as far as covering all their stuff.
Yeah. Would have loved to see it. Maybe someday.
Yeah, hopefully they'll come back out when they're 80. We'll see. They're getting up there, but they were still doing it. Well, so when this tour wraps up, are you guys going to go into the studio and make a new full length, or are you doing any like special reissues for Rubberneck this time around, or?
Yeah, there is like a red vinyl 25th anniversary Rubberneck. And yeah, we're planning to record a new album. It'll probably be early 2023 before we get in the studio. We're pretty much booked up the rest of this year, but we got quite a few songs, ready to go. I think we're going to probably get together a couple more times, work up even more material. It's always better to have more than you need for an album.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really excited to finally be working on new stuff. And we also have like some other things we're planning to reissue. We're going to put out, it's the very first Toadies single. It was originally only released on cassette. The two songs are Dig a Hole and I Hope You Die.
Oh, but I want to hear you guys play I Hope You Die. So I miss that song so much.
Yeah. It's never been out on vinyl before, just the self-released cassette that was actually recorded before I was even in the band. Yeah, we've been working on that. That's going to be finally coming out on vinyl pretty soon. And then we've been working to try and reissue Hell Below, Stars Above on vinyl, which that's never vinyl. It's the only one of our albums that never had a vinyl issue. It's still owned by Interscope, so there's been a lot of hoops to jump through to try and make that happen. But I think we have everything lined up so that that should be happening sometime in the near future.
Very cool. Any chance I Hope You Die will be in a set list anytime soon? I know that y'all stopped playing that for a long time.
So. Yeah, I imagine once we actually have the physical release ready, we'll probably, throw one or both of those songs back in the set list every now and then.
That would be awesome.
Blast from the past. That release, the original cassette, that was what got me into the Toadies. I started basically stalking them until they hired me to be their drummer. I was blown away when I heard it. Like, oh man, there's some guys from Fort Worth that sound like the Pixies. So I was in as soon as I heard it. So I'm really excited that it's finally coming out on vinyl. Green vinyl.
Very cool. Well, I think that's what's so great about you guys. I mean, it's growing up in Fort Worth is just seeing the Toadies go from like playing club axes and Mad Hatters and all that to becoming, what you guys became. It was pretty cool to see y'all take off like that. So.
Yeah, it was fun to be a part of. Like it seemed like a whirlwind ride, Like I just remember how excited we were the first time we sold out Mad Hatters. It's like, oh my God, we packed this whole room. 200 people or something like that. But man, I mean, the atmosphere was electric in there, just, and it was exciting, and just kind of one thing led to another. And yeah, it's crazy to think that here it is almost 30 years later. Half my life I've been in the Toadies.
It is crazy. It's just how music is weird because it always makes you remember when you first heard it. So it's a lot of good memories from that scene. I think it was just a really, really fun. It was cool that kind of helped to compete with the grunge and all that. That there was a Texas scene. I think it was a really cool part of music back then.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that I always thought, after the Seattle scene blew up, I thought for sure DFW, Denton scene, there were just so many good bands and like such a eclectic sort of variety of types of music that bands played in the area. I thought any day now the Deep Ellum scene is going to blow up and be the next Seattle, and it's never really happened. All the record companies moved on from rock and roll to like electronica and boy bands and all that kind of stuff. Too bad, but still a lot of those bands from then are still playing, like Baboon and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, those guys are great.
So yeah, it was a golden era.
It really was.
We were there.
Yeah. Well, are you guys planning on doing another Dios de los Toadies for next year, or?
No definite plans for that. We sort of kind of discontinued it after 10 years with plans to maybe revisit sometime. The timing was right. Like, it was really just before the pandemic, but it seemed like it was fun, but it seemed like we put a lot of work, heart and soul into it, not much financial gain. So we wanted to rethink how we were doing it, and try and do it better. And we're still trying to figure that out.
Well, I hope to see you guys next time you hit Austin. I'll definitely plan on being there. Always.
December.
Yep. All right.
So
well,
between Christmas and New Year's, I think.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for your time today. It's really nice chatting with you. Good luck with the show tonight, and I look forward to seeing you when you come here in December.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for taking the time for this.
Oh, thank you. A big thanks to Mark for taking time out for this interview today. You can purchase concert tickets for the band's remaining Rubberneck tour dates and buy their new EP, Damn You All to Hell, at the band's official website, Toadies.com. As promised, I'm leaving you with a track off the new EP. It's the group's aforementioned cover of David Bowie's Sound and Vision. I think you'll dig it. Until next time, stay safe and stay sane.